All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's regular City Council meeting for Monday, June 16th. Now call this meeting to order. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Schultz.
Here.
Latta.
Here.
Cruz.
Here.
Hallbaker.
Here.
Canfield.
Here.
Chrisman.
Here.
Dunn. Here. All members present, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and if willing and able, could everyone please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody. Look for a motion to approve the minutes of regular meeting of June 2nd.
So moved. Second.
Motion seconded. Any discussion from council? Seeing none. Any from the public? I'll seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk, any agenda revisions?
I have no agenda revisions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And we will now move to public forum, where speakers will have one opportunity to speak for up to 5 minutes on topics relevant to city business. If there's an item on the agenda later in the meeting, please wait for that. We'll have public comment there as well. So this is just for anything that's not on the agenda for discussion tonight. So is there anyone that would like to speak on public comment tonight? Hold on. I saw a certain somebody walking through the hallway that... Rosemary, would you like to speak at public forum tonight?
This is show and tell night. You see this?
Just name and address, please.
Rosemary Beach, out at Western Home. My husband Bob used that. And this is what I'm telling you in a regular bathroom does not fit with a person of Bob's size, myself, if I need to help him, and this creation. There's not enough room in just one of those. I wanted to bring one thing. To your attention tonight, especially because I want 10 minutes, not 5. And I'm telling you why. This piece of paper says, this was Consul Won't Grant, was also for Wednesday, September 21st. And it tells you that that I asked for a restroom of that nature that I'm talking to you about. And it was by my council person. It was turned in and suggested that our busy bees in the council that work back there would do something about it. And one of the busy bees did something about it. They created a video. Okay, that video took 10 minutes. Now I think I've got 10 minutes to come back to it, don't you? Do I see heads going up and down?
I'm not going to say no to her.
Well, really, I mean, if it says Stephanie's name here, so I can say Stephanie, and she presented a film, and it was on a bathroom, a restroom, like I wanted, which you have 2 of. I would just like to take one and just take it out to the public. You don't need 2. You really don't need 2 in this building. I expect there's restrooms back there somewhere too. Anyway, and for 10 minutes, she told you how much it was going to cost, which is a lot, but not as much as your new water park, not as much as your other stuff you're doing. And for the good of your community, I think you can afford it. So as part of her 10-minute presentation, she said the building code requires all private facilities open for customers. That's true, and you can do that, but you can't have no private facility here. Basically, maybe one, maybe Patton's, is big enough to take that and all, and they have a big restroom. They put in one that would accommodate that. But most places, any business place supposedly will have a restroom. But you can't get that in it, and you can't get a man in that and a wife in there and make any sense of it for very long. It's not doable. And I know you don't understand that. You don't understand it until you have to do it. That's my story. Anyway, so all the facilities have to have that, but it doesn't say handicap facilities. That's a big word that means the difference between me getting that in a restroom for Bob and me using it when I fell and discovered I was in Sartori. And when I got out of that in the Deary Suites that I needed, it was a fun, great thing to have. I already had a walker. But what I have to say about the film that was shown, that I thought it was a little one-sided. And I should do this, shouldn't I? I was too windy out. Anyway, I thought that we should rethink that. I know Stephanie told you how much money it was going to cost, and then she showed you some pictures. And the last picture that you would go out of here with, do any of you remember that? It looked like a garbage pail. It was everything in there. All the stuff was thrown in this restroom. I was paint thrown on the walls. I don't know what all the last picture that you went out of here with looked like that. I wouldn't think people in Cedar Falls would do that. And I think you owe it to the people who are living in your Western homes and places like that. And as I said it the last times, that every one of you is going to come up with it if you haven't already. You're going to be faced with somebody with dementia or with Alzheimer's, something where they have got to use that. And I wanted for Bob to be able to go out and take, go to the things downtown. And we went to all of those places. But if he hadn't had that, but you try and take that through a crowd of people, you have another problem. And I don't enjoy Monday night with you guys. I really don't. And I think I have to quit because nobody up here, I have my own councilman, and I have 2 council people who should have been partially my own. Not one of you has asked me one question, none, about what I wanted and why I wanted it. Not one has talked to me. And I may be the only one out there trying to get you up and go straight and onto it. I don't expect it tomorrow. But I expected of this city council to put in one of those restrooms sitting out here in your hallway. One like that, somewhere to use downtown for people who need it. And it's not just Western home people. The people walk with walkers everywhere. So this is maybe my last time. I'm tired. I'm going to do things for Sturgis Falls. Don't forget to come to that. They worked really hard on that this year. So come and see what fun you can have. And if we'd had a big restroom somewhere, it would have been a real help and rag break from me. I suppose I'm up with time. So I apologize for keeping you every Monday night for many times, but it's very important to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosemary. And your hair looks great, by the way. All right, is there anyone else for public comment this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move to staff updates. I believe, Director Birdie, we've got a few.
Yeah, I've got 2 things, Mayor, and the first one I'll pick up right where Rosemary left off, talking about Sturgis Falls. And so Sturgis Falls is going to look a little different this year. Most of the activities from Gateway Park are moving downtown, so that will, change things a little bit. There'll still be activities at Sturgis Park, Overman Park, and we would just encourage people, when you think about parking, you can park across the river over by the creamery. come back into the downtown. But for some of us who've been around here for a while, if you remember Sturgis Falls 10, 20, 30 years ago, you know, you used to park 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th Street, you know, Iowa, Walnut, Tremont, all those streets. So parking down around the Catholic Church or the Methodist Church or Lincoln School are going to be good places to park with the activities going on downtown. So just Sturgis Falls is going to look a little different. Most of the activity is going to be downtown, Overman Park or Sturgis Park. And then I have another topic about a celebration. So Independence Day fireworks. Fireworks are going to be loud on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. They start at 9 a.m. every morning. On Thursday, the 3rd, fireworks are only allowed till 10 p.m. On the 4th and 5th, they're allowed till 11 at night. You know, at public safety and here in the city, we encourage, you know, safe use of fireworks, legal use of the fireworks. And so we'll have ads on TV, social media. We give out brochures when they purchase fireworks in town. There's posters at the fireworks tents. We'll put about 24 signs at the entrances to most of the neighborhoods here in Cedar Falls to get the word out. But we just want to encourage safe and legal use of the fireworks on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th. And we will have officers out doing enforcement after those hours too. So,
Thank you, Director. And I'll just second that, you know, from the community side, just please, we have the allowance to be able to do those, but also please be respectful of your neighbors. And we will have on the fireworks topic, again, we'll bring them back for the second year of the City Fireworks Show, Fireworks Over the Dome, partnering with UNI. So on Thursday, June 26th, next Thursday, we will be kind of unofficially kicking off Sturgis with a City Fireworks Show, sponsoring and partnering with UNI. So if you remember last year is behind the Unidome, we'll have the same thing this year, a bigger show. Again, UNI's provide a lot of the logistics, so I have to thank them for a lot of the work they put into making it happen. So free for everyone to attend. You can stop out, you can tailgate out there, you can come out on the fields. They've got open space, and there will be music synced up with it through one of the radio stations. So feel free to stop out. UNI will have concession sales out there as well this year for all the kids and everyone that comes out. So otherwise, don't feel bad if you want to use that as your show and not set off fireworks on the other days, but you know. All right, otherwise, we'll move to special order of business. Item number 2, public hearing on proposed rezoning from C3 Commercial District and R4 Multiple Residence District to C3 Commercial District of property located at the southeast corner of 21st and College Streets. Do we have motion to receive and file proof of publication?
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And the motion carries. Madam Clerk, any written communications?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And then from staff, we've got Thomas Weintraub. Thank you, Thomas.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Proposal tonight is for rezoning from, it says C3 and R4, and the reason these properties have split zoning, one lot has 2 different types of zoning. We saw this previously when Bonnie's a few years ago did their rezoning. These properties are located on the northeast side of College Street at the intersection with 20th Street, 21st Street. The majority of the properties, again, are in C3. The western 85 feet of all 3 properties are in the C3. The east side, there's a couple lots have 30 feet, one has 62 feet. The owner proposes to build a mixed-use development with ground floor commercial and the upper level apartments. This proposal is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the College Hill vision plan. The building design will give sort of a Main Street look to the area, and it will achieve a connection between the upper and lower hill. As far as the comprehensive plan, the future land use designates this as neighborhood commercial mixed use, which the C3 zoning is consistent, and this is consistent with the comprehensive plan. Access to public services, this is in an area of the city that's been developed, so that all those types of service and utilities are available. It has adequate access to the street network because it, again, is on the corner of College and 21st Street. When a development plan comes in, then the access will be looked at as for the development as a whole.
Any clarifying questions from council this time? And I will just say that this is really just looking to clean up some of the zoning because it's got that weird split lot. We're not really approving anything with any proposed developments at this site. At this time, it's just requesting the rezoning since it's got that split lot there on the property.
I just have one quick thing. Tom, you mentioned Banny's right away. This has nothing to do with them, right?
No, in 2020, they went through the same process because they wanted to do some work, but part of the lot, again, the front half was C3, the rear half was R4. And it just looks like when the zoning maps were done, that they continued the zoning line from the alley to the north straight down, and there wasn't an alley on these, and so it created a split zoning for the lots.
Thank you.
And the reason why we're going C3 and R4 is because there was never a legal description of what was being rezoned. We want to make sure that we cover everything and get everything over to the C3.
Thank you, Tom. Any other clarifying questions from council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'm assuming that there are a couple other ones. I remember Councilmember DeBoer had mentioned a couple of those split parcels. Are there others in that area that still need to be cleaned up? And if there are, will they be accomplished within the zoning code update that we're already proposing?
I think there are a few maybe south, going a little bit further south. I would imagine with the zoning code update that should be addressed, yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
And that they wanted to move forward with this right now instead of
Earlier.
waiting just because of the possibility of a development.
Sure.
Any other questions from council members? All right, seeing none, we'll now open up to public comment. If there's anyone that would like to speak to this tonight. All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing and look for a motion.
Mr. Mayor?
Oh, apologize. Name and address,
Thank
please.
you. Bob Manning, 2908 West 3rd Street, Cedar Falls. I wasn't able to pick out exactly where that was. Is that across from the President Nook's house?
No, it's up here, the apartments. That's Bonnie's on the corner. It's mostly
Oh,
apartments.
okay.
So yeah, here's
All right.
22nd Street and the plaza, so it's
Got it.
north of that.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. All right, any other public comment on this item tonight? All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and look for a motion to pass an ordinance amending the zoning map by removing approximately 0.58 acres of real estate located at the southeast corner of 21st and College Streets from C3 Commercial District and R4 Multiple Residential District to C3 Commercial District upon its first consideration.
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded, and any discussion from council? All right, seeing none, requires a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. Move to item number 3, public hearing and proposed amendments to Chapter 26, zoning of the Code of Ordinances relative to allowing specialized educational facilities in the M1 Light Industrial Zoning District. Do we have a motion to receive and file proof of publication?
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. Madam Clerk, any written communications?
I have no written communications on file, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And then for staff comments, we have Chris Seavey. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Let's see. The city recently received an inquiry about a dance academy that would like to locate on Viking Road in the M1 Light Industrial District. This placement doesn't seem unreasonable, but the code currently precludes it. Or rather, the M1 Light Industrial District broadly disallows schools of which a dance academy would be categorized. There are 2 types of schools defined in the code. This is kind of important for the solution that I'll talk about. The first are general educational facilities, which have a curriculum similar to that in public schools. The second type of schools includes schools primarily engaged in offering specialized trade, business, or commercial courses, and also include music, dance, drama, martial arts, things like that. So what are some reasons we might want to allow specialized educational facilities in the light industrial district? So here are a few reasons. The M1 district already allows a wide variety of uses where people and children may visit often. The M1 district is a light industrial zone. Market factors will discourage specialized educational facilities from located in places that might discourage their clientele. And technically, specialized educational uses are already already allowed if accessory to an existing use that's established in the M1 district. And lastly, some non-conforming specialized educational facilities have already been operating in the M1 zoned areas without really any issues of concern. As for the solution here, the proposal is fairly simple and straightforward. That is to remove the word school in the list of prohibited uses and instead insert general educational facility. And since that land use is defined clearly in the code, it will not preclude a specialized educational facility from located in the M1 district. So at their meeting on the May 14th, 2025 P&Z meeting with a vote of 6-0, the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of this proposal to allow specialized educational facilities in the M1 light industrial district. I'm here if you have any questions.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Any clarifying questions from council at this time? All right, seeing none, we'll now open up for any public comments on this item. Just name and address, please.
Brett and Candace Van Hove, 618 Brandyland Boulevard. Yeah. We're in the dance studio that inquired. So just a bit kind of how we got there. We've been here in town for 17 years, operating, kind of always looking for space. And it actually got brought to us, so we were there touring M1 district. We didn't know that's what it was. But before we left, I said, let's make sure we go through the proper channels here, make sure we're doing it the right way. We looked around, saw a bunch of businesses, a few at least like ours, and thought no big deal. And then we found out that wasn't the case. So that's kind of how we end up here. Kind of going along with what Chris had said, along with other things, it's just difficult to find space for companies and businesses like ours, small businesses. Where we are now, we've slowly been kind of surrounded by bigger corporations that can afford the land, that can afford the buildings. So when spaces like this become available, it's essential that places like ours can get it. Not only existing one like ours, but people that might move in, the ones that are already there, of course. It provides all sorts of opportunities for those types of businesses that are otherwise priced out. As Chris kind of mentioned, we believe the model's been proven a little bit with the businesses that are there, and that we can add to that. It gives new sources of revenue. In fact, some of those businesses are there, filled properties that had sat for a while. And again, I think that shows again how we can help. We operate often at different times. As many of those larger businesses are closing down, we're opening up. So that often is kind of a dead area at that time of night. Make sure I'm not forgetting. Yeah, not a lot. Just appreciate your support and your consideration, and again, the help the city has given us in this process. So thank you.
Thank you both. Anyone else for public comment on this tonight? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing and look for a motion to pass an ordinance amending Chapter 26, zoning of the Code of Ordinances relative to allowing specialized education facilities in the M1 Light Industrial Zoning District upon its first consideration.
So moved. Second.
Motion second, and open to council discussion.
Sounds like it.
Otherwise, I'll just say thank you both. I know you mentioned you wanted to follow the process. Thank you both for following the process, and I'm glad we were able to kind of work with you to be able to look at some changes here, then make sure we can keep you guys moving. So, any additional conversation from council? All right, seeing none, requires a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. Item number 4, public hearing on a proposal to undertake a public improvement project for the North Cedar Heights Area Reconstruction Project, Phase 3, and to authorize acquisition of private property for said project. We have a motion to receive and file proof of publication.
So second.
Motion seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, any written communications?
I have no written communications, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And for staff comments, we've got David Wicki. Thank you, David.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, Council. Tonight's public hearing is for acquisition of right-of-way and easements for the North Cedar Heights Area Reconstruction Phase 3. Phase 3 is just a continuation of the work that we've been doing in that neighborhood to reconstruct those streets. So included in Phase 3 is Oakland Avenue, Picturesque Drive, and parts of a portion of Greenwood Avenue. So the project basically includes installation of storm sewer, water main, sanitary sewer, full depth reconstruction of the pavement along with curb and gutter. The acquisition and/or easement acquisition will be requested from 24 different property owners. And as you can see on the exhibit, also included in your agenda packet are the areas where we'd be looking to get those, either those right-of-ways or easements, both temporary and permanent. So I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have. We also have our consultant here if any detailed questions may need to be answered.
Thank you, David. Any clarifying questions from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
If I may, Mr. Wiki, on 301 Grand, there's a little bit of driveway overlap. I just want to make sure whether the GIS image overlay is the offage there. Will there be driveway over an easement on that portion, or is that just bad imaging?
Can Denny pull that image back up?
I mean, it's very small. Yeah, it is that top left image there on 301. It's just a little sliver. I'm assuming the GIS mapping has a little offage. Is that a correct assumption? Or will we be taking out their driveway and rerouting it? That's all I was curious about.
I don't think we'd be really encroaching on their driveway. They shouldn't be affected. So I think it's just maybe a little image.
Okay. I just want to make sure whether we were needing all of that easement or if we back it off the driveway, but if the driveway's not impacted in
Yeah,
the easement.
we don't anticipate getting into the driveway.
Okay.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other clarifying questions from council? All right, seeing none, thank you, David. We'll open this up to public comment if anyone would like to speak tonight. Just name and address, please.
Yes, my name is Doug Vernier, and my address is 1600 Picturesque Drive, right at the end of the dead end. And I don't know how many of you are familiar with Picturesque, but it has very large ravines on all sides, 3 sides. And you get down the middle to get to our house and to my neighbor's house. And so the street's going to be torn up, and we're going to have to make provisions. However, new infrastructure, everything's coming in, and not that it needs it, that it doesn't need it, I should say, but you know, it could use that like the rest of the streets have, and they do a good job. But there's one thing missing, and that's what we're supposed to do for 3 months, because we cannot get there by walking down the street. And I don't know about my neighbors, but my back is out of sorts all the time. So it might be very, very difficult, if impossible, to walk through the construction, the mud, and everything else without having some provision for getting to our house. Some of the houses where this has been done before, people can get to that by going through somebody else's backyard. We cannot do that because of the ravines. So I've asked the city engineer, I've asked, what are we going to do? And I've had no answers whatsoever, and apparently no interest in what it's going to do to the people who live on that street. And I just wanted to make that understanding here. If you do it, we don't know where we're going to go. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Vernier. And we'll circle back to this once we have any of the other public comments. We'll check on that. Is there anyone else for public comment this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion, a resolution approving a public improvement project for the North Cedar Heights area reconstruction project phase 3 and to authorize acquisition of private property for said project.
So moved. Second.
Motion seconded and open for council discussion. And if I could, David, could you maybe just speak to some of the access for that particular lot?
Mr. Mayor, can you get a repeat? What was the address for the property?
What was the address again?
1600 Picturesque.
Thank you.
So I can speak to this a little bit. Some of the easements that we are acquiring are temporary easements, and they're going to be access easements. So people that live along Picturesque there will have access to get to and from their properties. It'll be, you can see right there, 311. We're going to have access going behind their property, then along Picturesque, and those easements are to provide that access to those people that live in that area of Picturesque. So, you know, that's the intention for that.
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
is that by a vehicle or by foot, or what's the intention there?
This will be walking access. We weren't able to make it so a vehicle could get through there.
But it should be a somewhat level,
It'll be a maintained walkway.
not, yeah.
Just check for maintained walkway, then would that be something we'd pour, like a temporary path through there, or just have,
It'll either
maintained
be
area?
like a well-graded gravel, or I don't know if we are anticipating asphalt.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something we could look at as we get into the final plans, but it's going to be a well-maintained path, like you said, and if it's too uneven, you know, we can look at putting in some temporary, either granular material or asphalt or concrete.
okay. Thank you. Yes, Councilman?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
I'm assuming, I mean, I know the area that you're talking about, and I'm assuming it'll be staged. At some, I mean, the closest place to park would be, like, say, on Greenwood Avenue there, right?
Correct.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And so then the walk to the end of that cul-de-sac would just be essentially maybe that half block, and we'd have a path there so people could walk back.
Correct.
And will that be the longest walk then that would be required?
It should be.
Okay, so there'll be vehicle access off of Greenwood, and then there'll be that time period where you'll have to walk down to your property on Picturesque. Okay.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions, discussion from council?
I just want to say, if I could, please,
Yeah.
I do want to, I think from the beginning of this conversation, it was recognized in the public meetings how challenging this area would be. And I don't want, I think we're all sympathetic to that. So I would encourage you, and I think you will, but please let us know of concerns and you know, obviously staff. But I want to recognize, I hear your concerns and I sympathize with that. I hope in the end, it is needed infrastructure upgrade in that area. And unfortunately, just by the lay of the land, I mean, it's kind of like a park, which is beautiful, but it's real challenging to deal with replacing infrastructure. So I'm sorry for the challenge that it'll cause.
Thank you, Counselor.
I'll just note, you know, on the previous two phases that we've already done, you know, we work with residents, try to make the best accommodations for them that we can, and we've been able to work through, you know, similar type issues on previous phases, and we'll continue to do so.
I can attest to that. The difficulty, and I appreciate this, is you have ravines on both sides of Picturesque, and so those sort of backyard cut-throughs aren't available to you, so the best you can do is to walk down Picturesque. I know, so, but thank you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, counselors. Any other discussion, questions from council? All right, seeing none requires a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. Item number 5, public hearing on the proposed plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the Hudson Road Bridge Deck Overlay Project. Is there a motion to receive and file approved publication?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. Madam Clerk, any written communications?
I have no written communications, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And for this, for staff comments, we've got Mr. Matt Tolan. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Tonight's public hearing is for the Hudson Road Bridge Deck Overlay Project. This project involves a re-overlay of a continuous concrete slab bridge, replacement of the pin bridge median, replacement of the paving notch, approach pavement, sidewalk pavement, and includes traffic control. The total estimated cost is approximately $880,000, and the project will be funded by the general obligation bond and local sales tax.
Thank you, Matt. Any clarifying questions from council at this time? All right, seeing none, we will open it up to any public comment for this item tonight. All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and look for a motion and resolution approving and adopting the plan, specifications, form of contract, and estimate of cost for the Hudson Road Bridge Deck Overlay Project.
Second.
Motion seconded, and any discussion from council?
Just one question for Matt. Will this require a closure, complete closure, or is this going to be altered, or how's the traffic flow going to be?
No, we plan to maintain traffic. We'll go head-to-head on each side of the bridge, and we'll cross over at the intersections. So kind of in what Denny just pulled up, so we'll transition at both the intersections of University and the intersection south of the bridge there. We'll just cross over the bridge, go head-to-head, and then the contractor will work half at a time.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Counselor. Any other questions, discussion from council? All right, seeing none, requires a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. We'll now move to old business. The consent calendar, well, we have no old business. So the consent calendar, following items will be acted upon by a voice vote on a single motion without separate discussion unless someone from the council or public requests an item be considered. Are there any requests from the council?
9.
9. Shocking. Any others from the council? Any from the public? All right, seeing none, I'll look for a motion then to approve items 6 through 12 of the consent calendar, excluding item number 9.
So moved. Second.
Motion seconded, and all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And motion carries. We'll move to item 9. So we'll look for a motion to approve the following recommendations of the mayor relative to the appointment and reappointment of members of the boards and commissions. We have quite a few, so I won't name them all, read the whole thing, but Lauren Fink, Gregory Holt, Lorraine Holzler, Valerie Herdahl, John Runchi, Itzuri Orestugi, I probably pronounced that wrong, probably it's Zuri, Aaron Hammond, and Amy Dutton.
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded, and
That was my job to read all those names.
I'm sorry. You can probably do a better job than I did.
So I just wanted to say thank you to Lauren, Greg, Lauren, Valerie, John, Zuri, Aaron, and Amy. Thank you so much for your service and dedicating your time to the city. If anyone else is interested in volunteering for a board or commission, you can go to cedarfalls.com and you can find the general application to apply. You can express what your interests are. We have many boards and commissions, so you should be able to find something that you're interested in. We also have lots of openings right now. If you're curious about those openings, you can see our last meeting where I listed all of them off. So thank you again to those who are volunteering their time, and encourage everyone else to take a look. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Mr.
Any other?
Mayor? Again, I would ask, are any of those folks here? Well, round of applause for you, even if you're not here. We'll
Yeah, let's give a round of applause. They're very busy doing the work.
Well, speaking of very busy doing work, I know, Mr. Mayor, you and I have talked about some of these positions just in this last week, and I know it's, you're very busy going through these, so I appreciate your efforts on that, too, so.
Appreciate it, Counselor. And I have to say my appreciation to the staff. They help out a lot with making sure I have the information I need to make a decision. So any other discussion from council? Any from the public? Just name and address, please.
I'm TW, I'm the chair of the Human Rights Commission. So I think that Councilman Chrisman pulls these out just to make you read the names every month. But I wanted to especially thank Commissioners Aristugi and Heyman. Our commission is being filled out, and having people rejoin for 3 years at a time is really nice. I have now been on the commission for 2 years, and I am the longest serving commissioner which is weird to think of, but Human Rights Commission is very important, and just having people wanting to be on for another term is fantastic. We do have an opening now and are accepting applications, so just want to thank those two members specifically, but that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, TW, and thank you for all the work you guys do. Any other discussions from the public? All right, seeing none, bring it back to council. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? That motion carries. We'll now move to the resolution calendars. The following items will be acted upon by a roll call vote on a single motion without any separate discussion, unless someone from the council or public requests that item be considered separately. Are there any requests from council?
Number 29, please.
29.
Number 22, Mr. Mayor.
29, 22. Any others from council? All right, seeing none. Any from the public? 17. Gotcha. 29, so we've got 17, 22, and 29. Any others from the public? 34. All right, any others? All right, seeing none, so I'll look for a motion to approve items 13 through 35 of the resolution calendar, excluding items 17, 22, 29, and 34.
So moved. Second.
Motion seconded, and requires a roll call vote.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. We'll go to item number 17. I look for a motion to approve resolution approving and authorizing execution of an agreement in support of College Hill Partnership relative to a FY 2026 Cedar Falls Health Trust Services funding.
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded, and any discussion from council? All right, seeing none, any from the public? Just name and address, please.
Greg Fairbanks, 405 Spruce Hills Drive. I'd ask a question about the Cedar Falls Health Trust Services. I'd never heard of that. And my question is, what is it? Where does the funding come from, and what's it for?
Jen, if you want to give a quick.
Sure can. So in, I believe it was 1996 or 97, Sartori Municipal Hospital was sold. The operations were sold. At the time was Covenant. I believe they were called Covenant at the time. And so that money that they paid, because it was a municipal hospital, was put in the Cedar Falls Health Trust Fund. And an ordinance at the time was created that talked about how those trust fund money principal would be held in case there's ever a need for a hospital to remain in Cedar Falls. The interest off of that fund, what we do every year is a calculation where the interest off of those dollars, we subtract out inflation, and then that's what's available for the Health Trust Fund Board to provide a recommendation for potential funding. And it can only be for health-related projects in that serve Cedar Falls residents. And so there's been some years, the Health Trust, there was not enough interest to do that because interest rates were low, inflation was high. And so I would say, maybe half the years they've given out money, but again, it can only be for health-related projects. And so those are every year in the budget, included in the budget what those recommendations are, and then what we do is a contract with them every year to just basically say, before they can get the money, they have to provide, receipts that they expended the funds, that they met their goals of their project, and so that's what we do every year. So that's what the Cedar Falls Health Trust. So there's 6 members on that board, the Cedar Falls Health Trust Board, that provide those recommendations.
And so they ultimately review and approve the application.
Yep, the applications. Yep, they have an application process every year.
And they're all volunteers.
That's the only question I had.
Sure.
I've never seen it.
Yeah.
Didn't know where the funding.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Fairbanks. Any other public questions on this item tonight? All right, seeing none, bring it back to council. Any further discussion? Seeing none, requires a roll call vote, please.
I had something pop up.
All members are voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. Move to item number 22 and look for motion to approve resolution approving and authorizing execution of an agreement in support of SuccessLink / Together for Youth Coalition relative to FY 2026 Cedar Falls Health Trust Services funding. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded and open for council discussion. Council?
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I appreciate the intent behind the resolution to fund Together for Youth's adolescent pregnancy prevention programs and the goal of improving adolescent health and supporting young families. However, I have concerns about certain methods promoted by the program, particularly the potential use of abortifacient medications, which conflict with my deeply held moral convictions. Additionally, while I recognize the value of education on these topics, I believe abstinence should be emphasized more prominently, and parents should be encouraged to take primary responsibility for guiding their children in these matters, as rooted in my faith and principles found in Deuteronomy 6. For these reasons, I cannot support the resolution, though I respect the folks who see this differently. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other discussion from council on this item tonight? Seeing none, any from the public? Also seeing none, bring it back to council and requires a roll call vote, please.
Six voting aye, one voting nay, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. Move to item number 29. Look for motion approving resolution approving amendments to the Pinnacle Prairie Mixed-Use District Master Plan relative to property located at 4900 Prairie Parkway. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded and
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, just pulled this on my behalf, just abstaining on this one again, just as I did 2 meetings back, just for potential conflict. Thanks.
thank you, Counselor. And open for council discussion.
Bring it back. I think we had a member of the public as well.
Yep. So I think we'll first then, because I know we've got some people here tonight, we'll go ahead and open it up to public discussion this item, and then we can bring it back for council review. So if anyone from the public like to speak tonight. Just name and address, please.
Richard Betterton, 220 Iris Drive, which is the western home. I think the problem you have with this, which I understand management will try to do everything they can to make this work. I've been to the meeting when they had their meeting. So, but doing some research on this type of facility, I have found that there is a significant problem. While it's not insurmountable, it's a significant problem with friends, neighbors, I guess dealers, and even family members bringing drugs into these facilities. If you can't keep drugs out of prisons and out of jails, how can you keep them out of a facility that's relatively open to visitors and guests? And you have in this area, on both sides, surrounding this particular facility, a lot of vulnerable senior citizens. And while most of the people coming there are paying to be there, and it is probably well regulated, the people that are there are going to see what they're living amongst. And they're going to see that we have a bunch of vulnerable senior citizens living in all that area. And if there are even one or two out of the hundreds that'll come through there in a couple of years, they may have as many as 100, and they turn over every 28 days. And if you have a few bad actors that come through there and don't get resolved, they go back into the public, and if they've seen the area out there, they would know that there are vulnerable people. And I think that is a very difficult thing to overcome. And there's no way you can tell me that there's not going to be at least a few people who are going to go there and not be, how would you say it, not have their problems resolved. And when they go back into society, if they stay in the area, and many of them will be from the area, then they're going to go back and say, hey, look, we can make some money here, or we can do some damage here, or we can steal stuff, or whatever they do. And you have to also consider that even if these people who are coming in are paying and have never had a criminal record, they have been probably involved in criminal activity if they've been using drugs and alcohol to the extreme. So even though they're paying and they're probably from good families, they may not be good people. And I don't think this is appropriate for this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brotherton. Is there anyone else for public comment this evening? Just name and address, please.
Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, Council. Erin Booker, and I represent the potential operator of the facility. This was tabled at the last meeting to ask us to have another neighbor meeting, which we did with considerable turnout, over 100 people who came out. And this concern was certainly raised, and we had a great deal of discussion for probably 2 hours with the community to really talk about. We have facilities that are in very similar communities where we are within neighbors of senior living facilities that have actually been really beneficial to both those we serve and to those in the senior living, where they have supported one another. This is a place of healing, and I think that that's really important to talk about. These are places that have saved many of us. We are not committing criminal activities. We are in treatment to get better and to save our lives and to save our communities. And so I think it's really important to think about that in these facilities we are trained. We train our staff. We have staff 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have monitors on every door. People are not able to just walk in and bring anything in. All of that is monitored. Certainly there are consistently people coming into the facility. That is our goal. We are trying to reunify families and community members. But we do that with strategy and with true operational and clinical expertise. So we just wanted to kind of say that this is something that we understand as a concern and we take it very, very seriously. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Volker. Anyone else for public comment this evening? Name and address, please, or affiliation.
Hi, Doug Leach, 4900 Prairie Parkway. Good to see you all. I'm in long-term recovery myself from addiction and alcoholism and also severe mental illness. And just wanted to address a couple things. The comment about bringing drugs in, that does happen in prisons, and I did bring that up in our discussion, with the neighbors. But this is a voluntary facility, so we just don't see family members bringing in drugs to their. If they want them, they can. Just leave. And it's very important to understand that the people that come to this facility are from this area. So each person that comes into that facility is one person in this community that's not doing drugs or drinking alcohol. So there's lots of studies that have been done. I'm not sure which one the gentleman was referring to, but there's no evidence that indicates that there's a higher amount of criminal activity around these facilities. And further, our experience and me running dozens of these facilities all over the country, going through one myself, hanging around and, in the area and by the treatment center, it's the last place we want to go. And unfortunately, people do relapse or leave treatment and then relapse. In our facility, they're not going to relapse. They'll want to leave and we help them get back to where they were coming from. But it's a very embarrassing thing, if you leave treatment and you don't really want to hang around when you're not doing well, although we do reach out to those folks in the community. So again, these are folks coming from the community that have a problem. They're actively drinking, drugging, probably, anyway. So these are folks that really want to get better. They're here to get better, and I think Erin said it really well whenever she said that the partnership between our community, and especially senior citizens living in retirement communities, it's been remarkable. And it's one of the most special things and most impactful to our guests that come through treatment. I referenced during our meeting that Netflix documentary called Recovery Boys. I think that's really cool, not just because I'm in it, but what you find is a community that was very scared of this facility coming in, and this is back in 2015 that we opened this facility. And the neighbors that were so opposed to this, and it was just they didn't know about it. It was in very rural West Virginia, but they're some of the biggest supporters of the facility. I don't know of anybody that's opposed to it in the town of Aurora, West Virginia, and we've been there since 2015. But what you'll see is in that film, you get to see the neighbors, many of them senior citizens, coming over and participating and cheering on the graduates of the program. And that's where,
the miracle really happens, is whenever our community welcomes these folks back in and people feel loved and cared about. And these are people in this community and people that deserve the chance to get better. So thanks for allowing me a chance to talk. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leach. Anyone else for public comment this evening? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to council, open it up for discussion, questions, or comments. Now, I will say just quick from kind of background, we did have this at a previous meeting, requested that the group, based on some of those community concerns, do a community meeting with some of the residents in the area, and again, had a really good turnout of that event. So just thank you for making the time to have that event. I know myself and Councilmember Ganfield were able to attend and just listen in, and I do feel the group did a very good job answering all the questions, being open to any and all questions. I think it was close to 2 hours for the time there, and there are some tough questions and conversation, but I believe the group did a really good job and showed a genuine willingness to make sure and work with the community and talk through everything. So,
Mr. Mayor? Yep. I appreciate that they, when we tabled it and they had the meetings with the neighbors, I'm very, I guess, sympathetic. You know, it's the not in my backyard with the neighborhood. And the research that I've done, these have been very successful, and that they are very needed. They're needed. We suffer from probably a global epidemic of drug and alcohol abuse that needs to be addressed, and I'm in support of this. I can feel for the neighborhood, but you're off to a good start, and that you continue to reach out to the neighbors and keep that line of communications open. And I think within about probably half a mile, I think Director Birdie is there in his office. So you've got some close neighbors here with public safety. So that's promising as well. So
thank you, Council.
The only thing you got going is, why would you wear a Penn State shirt? Seriously. I didn't think that out.
I'll get him in Iowa.
Yep.
You and I.
You and I. University of Northern Iowa.
Yep, you and I.
All right, you guys are going to have another community.
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
Can someone from the facility explain how attendees or residents are attracted to your facility through hospital and clinic referrals, law enforcement? How do they get there? And then how long are they tracked afterwards? So there's relapse or revision? Or?
Yeah, so we have referral sources, hospitals, doctors' offices, personal referrals, law enforcement. Really, we are out in the community making sure people know we're there and we're there to serve. So our referrals are coming from kind of all of the above that you said. It can be universities for students who are struggling. So that's a place we also make sure we are available to. As far as they're with us for about 30 days, and then we track for at least 6 months. Sorry, I hear the feedback, I apologize. About 6 months we are tracking consistently, but we do create alumni groups, and so we have a lot of people that stay very connected within our facility for years.
Okay, as a follow-up question, then, if a person knows somebody that might be a candidate for your services, can they be brought in as a friend, bringing a friend in to say, hey, we could want to chat, something like that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. And then what is the cost for those people? How does that work? Does insurance cover some of this, or what happens there?
Yeah, so insurance covers for most people. It is something that it's a medical diagnosis, and so it is covered by most health insurance. It's through our parity laws in the country. It's required to be covered.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, conversation from council?
Mr. Mayor.
Yep, council.
Thanks. After postponing this resolution, not tabling it, earlier, and attending the well-attended public information session, which fostered valuable discussion and received appropriate responses from the applicant, I do support moving this forward. While some residents continue to voice safety concerns, I encourage them to stay proactive and report any legal violations. Personally, I do believe this facility will not heighten the risks for our most vulnerable neighbors there, but will instead offer a vital service to our state and area while preserving the charm and safety of our community. I think it's worth noting about 300 feet to the east, this is completely allowed. I do think it's a necessary and vital thing. It just happens to be that the building came available because of some other happenstance. If it was 300 feet east, we wouldn't even be discussing it. It'd be open. But again, the facilitators have made assurances they are not court-ordered patients or services there. So I do think they do a good job, and they've explained their intentions. I think, exceptions do exist, right? But they did a very good job of hosting that additional public information meeting that many weren't, they were satisfied with the responses to that. So.
Thank you, Counselor. And if I could ask Ms. Volker, would you mind speaking just to the admission process? Because that was something I think during the, for anybody watching online or maybe not here, that was something I think during the information meeting really helped people understand kind of how the facility works.
Absolutely. So we don't have, we're not somewhere where you just kind of walk in and we have lots of people bringing a lot of traffic. The admission process is a phone call where we have trained individuals who are doing a full pre-screening. And they're going through with family members, with the individual, whoever referred them, the hospital, the school, et cetera, a very lengthy admission process to really make sure they meet criteria to be in the facility and they can actually get the help they need at our facility. We want to make sure that if you are not a good fit for this facility, that we get you to the right place. So I think that's important as well. If you cannot come to us, we don't just hang up the phone. We are connecting you to the right level of care and the right location. But all of that happens, and then you have an appointment. So you are scheduled to come in on Monday at 10 o'clock, and our team is there ready to receive you when you walk in the door and welcome you into treatment. But it is all handled very methodically. So it is not kind of an open door, you just kind of walk in the door. It is really set up. And that doesn't mean that if someone's in immediate need, we can't get them in. We can. You can call and we can have you in the same day. But it is still a process to make sure that we are bringing the right people in for care at the right place.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, conversation?
If I may, Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
I think you might have been referring to there's not an airlock, but the process by which people get into the facility. They're not bringing any of their own personal stuff. They are vetted by professionals to make sure that those types of incidents don't happen. People are not permitted to leave the facility on their own. Even if they need some respite of a walk, a staff person will accompany them. So it's not, come and go as you please kind of facility where people are going to be coming back drunk or anything like that. I think this is a needed service, and they have demonstrated through dozens of facilities effectiveness and capacity to continue this one.
Thank you, Counselor.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yes, you may.
I don't disagree with any of that. What I can say is that, I've been a public defender for 20 years, or over 20 years now, and I can tell you that there is no such thing as not in my backyard when it comes to addiction. It is pervasive, it is non-judgmental, it applies to all strata of society, and the most important thing we can do is offer the services to treat it. Because the greatest risk of criminality that was referred to is actually leaving those things untreated. And so I wholeheartedly support this change. So.
Thank you, Counselor. Any other discussion, thoughts from council? All right, seeing none, requires a roll call vote, please.
Six voting aye and one abstention.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. And thank you, everyone, for taking the time to come in on this and for the additional time to talk with the community. So appreciate it. We'll now move to item 34. Look for motion approving resolution setting July 7th, 2025 as the date of public hearing to consider entering into an agreement for private development with Panther Farms, LLC.
Moved.
Second.
Motion second. And quick clarification on this item. This is only to set the public hearing date. So the only items we can discuss tonight are just the date. The actual content of the agreement with private Panther Farms would need to be at the next meeting at the public hearing where we would actually have that discussion. So this is just for setting the date of this public hearing item. So any conversation from council? Seeing none, any from the public? Just name, please.
Craig Fairbanks. I just have a question. Should I have spoke now, or should I have spoke at public comments?
Just go ahead and we can try and figure out quick.
I just, this has been one of my grave concerns about development in Cedar Falls and how we got to this point where now we're giving 50% of the taxpayers' dollars away to promote development. My question to you and to council is there a way that we should be digging backwards and finding out why we're at this point? We're not Waterloo, where they have to offer the incentives. It's disappointing to see that we do. My biggest concern is that we're cutting off revenue to the taxpayers of Cedar Falls by doing this for over a decade. What do we do for revenue growth in the interim while this is going on? That's my biggest question about bringing it. My wish is that we would go back and dig through the development ordinances from start to finish and figure out the 80% that we need and remove the 20% that is fluff and unnecessary, that doesn't accomplish the purpose. I sincerely wish we would do that, and it's with a lot of it, because there's no reason that we don't have developers here because it's not lucrative. There has to be other reasons. But anyway, thank you for letting me talk. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Fairbanks. Any other discussion for this item tonight, for the date of the public hearing? All right, seeing none, bring it back to council. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, requires a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. We'll move to ordinances. Item number 36. Look for motion to pass an ordinance amending Chapter 5, alcoholic and malt beverages of the Code of Ordinances relative to approval of retail alcohol license by council, city council action affecting license, appeals by license holders, possession or consumption in public place, public intoxication, person under legal age, penalty for violation of article upon its first consideration.
So moved. Second.
Motion seconded. And any discussion from council?
Someone pull this one? Oh,
This ordinances.
oh, I'm sorry. These are laws.
Right down here.
It's like reading
Nope.
Kevin's words,
It
that's all.
is.
Seeing none from council, any from the public? All right, also seeing none requires a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item number 37, pass an ordinance repealing Chapter 23, Traffic and Motor Vehicles of the Code of Ordinances relative to open containers in motor vehicles, drivers, and open containers in motor vehicles, passengers upon its first consideration.
So moved.
Second.
Motion seconded, and any discussion from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yep, go ahead.
If I may, I just want to refer folks to the packet, and to please remember this is still outlawed. The state law precedes this, so this is not making it legal for you to drive around with an open container.
Yes, to clarify, if anyone reads this and seems like we're taking these laws out, it's actually that this is covered by state law, so it's duplicitous to have it in our laws, and so we're just removing it from ours. And Attorney Rogers, correct me if I state any of this inappropriately, but we're removing it from ours because we're covered under the state laws and statutes.
Absolutely correct.
So still against the law.
It's still against the law.
Thank you, sir.
All right, any other discussion from council? All right, seeing none, any from the public? Also seeing none requires a roll call vote, please.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. Go to bills and claims. We have a motion to allow bills and claims for June 16th.
So moved.
Motion and second. Any discussion from council? None. Any from the public? Seeing none requires a roll call vote, please.
Sorry.
All members voting aye, Mr. Mayor.
I thought I clicked it.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. That motion carries. Any council updates or announcements?
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
I would like to pass along some comments from public on the investment that the city makes on keeping our streets and our roadways in great working condition. There is, however, some construction fatigue that is continuing to go. We just kind of hit I think in an area where we went from 1st and 57th to University Avenue to Main to 18th to 12th, and the folks that are still getting used to the roundabouts are getting used to the roundabouts, but the folks that are in vehicles that can take them at 50 miles an hour seem to be trying to do that. So I just ask the folks to continue to be patient with construction, because it is an investment. It is making our city better, and but also to continue to be courteous. Remember, these are still neighborhoods that maybe are now experiencing more traffic, but the speed limits are the speed limits. And I know it keeps the public safety folks very busy with trying to be everywhere at once, but we still have people that are exceeding the speeds in these streets. So pay attention and keep our neighborhood safe.
Thank you, Counselor.
Yep.
Any other council updates or announcements? All right, seeing none, any council referrals? Any pressing referrals?
We'll draw something up for next meeting.
All right, also seeing none, we'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Don't forget about Sturgis Falls.